What's going on, people? I want to speak on this alleged article that is circulating around the internet. It's interesting that whenever there's an alleged preacher that was caught in the act of adultery or stole money from the church or basically doing grimy things, it never fails that it circulates around the internet extremely fast. People have an excuse to say, this is why I don't attend church. This is why I don't believe in God. This is why I don't read the Bible. It's an excuse. It gives people an out, or an apparent out, or a deceived out of not doing the right thing in life or not living righteously according to the Most High. People want to remain in their mess, and they want to feel good about doing their mess. Okay, now I'm going to put a link to the bottom. I want you guys to check it out. Now, I have done a search on the internet and I have not been able to find a legitimate news site that's reporting that this took place. The most of the so-called articles or links that I found were blogs that someone else wrote. Someone else wrote what someone else said, that wrote what someone else said, that wrote what someone else said. There's no official site. You're going to notice that there's a lot of mistakes on this alleged blog, because that's what it is. It's a blog. The spelling, grammar, just out ignorant type of site. Okay. Now, the reason I used this link to post was because it had what allegedly appears to be a police report attached. Now, on this alleged police report, there's no official signatures on it. It's just something, I can get forms and type the form out, but there's no legitimate signatures on it, nor a police seal. Okay? So it could be fake. But let's just say, perchance, it's real. And this really took place. Now, I can't say it did not take place. I can't say that it did take place. But it's quite fishy that this had not reached mainstream media. And if it did, I'm hoping that someone should send me a link to that official news site that validates that what's written on this blog is true. Okay? Because we know how people like to put information out there that some celebrity has died or something happened, and then when you do research, it's not true. Or they'll say this person is a racist, and then when you do research, it's not true, right? So there's a lot of fake news that's going out there, and the media has been talking about fake news an awful lot. Okay, so I'm not quick to believe everything that I read or that someone says is true. Okay, so, but check out this link. It's got some alleged police reports on it. But the reason I made this video is because it spread like fire throughout the internet, right? But let's just say that just by chance this is all true and it's real. It actually makes the guy look bad. Okay, the husband, the alleged husband. Now, what supposedly happened was this preacher was talking to one of his church members about starting a business. Stop. Why would this married woman be talking to another man, regardless of the fact that he's a preacher? Why would she be sitting down, talking to him, about starting a business without her husband having knowledge of that? And why allegedly would they have sex in their child's bedroom knowing, and she of all people should have known what time her husband comes home? All right. If he's not at work and she said, okay, well, he works from 11 to 7, or he works from 3 to 11, or he works from 7 a.m. to like maybe 3:30 p.m. I mean, she should have some type of schedule of knowing when her husband is going to be home. Why would she invite this preacher over her house, this alleged preacher? Why would she invite this alleged preacher over her house to discuss business that her husband know nothing about, and then engage sex in this guy? Now, according to this article or this blog, she has known this guy for a while. She has allegedly known this so-called preacher for a while, but she invites this preacher over her house without her husband allegedly not knowing about this business discussion. And why wasn't he there to sit down and talk business along with the two? All right, so she invites this guy into her house, and they're discussing business, and then they somehow end up in the bed doing the dirty, right? And then her husband walks in, allegedly says he's going to get his gun, and the preacher jumps up without putting any clothes on. Do you realize how funny that sounds? I mean, when I started visualizing what could have happened, I had to laugh. I thought it was funny. This is an extremely funny article if you sit there and you just read and just imagine the cartoon activity that was going on. The guy jumps up naked and runs out of the house naked before this alleged husband was able to get his gun, right? So if you read further down, the guy had the gun in his hand, and it allegedly said that he didn't point it at the woman, right, at his wife or whatnot, right? But it just sounds funny to me. But thinking on the flip side of that, it makes the so-called husband look bad. It shows that you, of course, or appeared you wasn't doing your job at home. Okay, I don't know if this guy worked. I don't know if he didn't work, right? But he was home. He came home, and he caught his wife with the alleged pastor discussing starting a business together. Now, women, they love intelligent men. A lot of times, Pastor, there's a lot of wolves in sheep clothing out there. We completely understand that. It has nothing to do with the Bible or the church. I mean, because you got wolves or snakes that creep in. I mean, just think about your house and how many times a bird out of nowhere flew in your house, or a snake. For you people that live in those areas where snakes come in your house, snakes ended up in your house. Mice or rats ended up in your house, right? So just think of how many times, how easy it is for, especially in this day and time where people can get their minister license offline, okay? And you got people out there, just look at all the so-called conscious communities out there that's deceiving folk and getting them for their money, all right? So it's very easy for snakes to sneak in among you. It doesn't mean that the church, or the Bible or Christianity is wrong. It's just the fact that there's a few snakes that crept in. And the Bible talks about those snakes that creep in among you and deceive people. Okay? But like I said, it gives people the excuse to say, this is why I don't believe in the Bible, or this is why I don't believe in the church, or this is why I don't go to church, or I don't live right, because you got all these fake and phony preachers out there, wolves in sheep clothing, and it spreads like wildfire on the internet. But if you really take time out to listen and think about it, this so-called husband, if this article is true, wasn't doing his job. Because if you were taking care of home and you were, let's say, working and supporting your family, there would be no need for her to be sitting down with a pastor talking about starting a business, okay? And especially if it's a guy that she has known for years, okay? Because what man would not question you knowing this guy for years, and then all of a sudden he's at your house discussing business and you got nothing to do with it, okay? If anything, the husband should have been sitting down with his wife talking about starting a business. But you got a lot of these guys, man, that's not interested in going to school to better themselves. They're not interested in working to support their family. They want to hang out on the block, hang out with their boys, or do whatever they choose to want to do. I know there's times that guys will come in my store and to keep their wives busy, not girlfriends. And you had guys that were living with females, and females, they lived together, right? But you had guys that came in my store and they bought, like, say, 10 books, like hood novels, I call them, right? Like Triple Crown and stuff like that. They would come in and buy like about 10 hood novels because they know that their wives love to read those books, right? So this dude tells me he's buying these books for his girl to keep her busy while he's out doing his thing. All right, so he's basically feeding her to the wolves. And let's not talk about Valentine's Day, man, when dudes come into the store and buy all these Valentine's Day gifts for different females, right? They buy like 5 different gifts for 5 different females, and then his girlfriend or his wife, right? So he's out there doing his thing, and he expects her to remain faithful while he's playing the field, right? You're not taking care of home. You living off of this chick. She's working, you know. She's taking care of the kids. You laying up all day doing whatever, right? Refuse to do better for yourself. So then you got this smooth talking snake, even if he is calling himself a pastor. He comes along and he's got some type of, what do you call it? He's got some type of, charisma, which a lot of women are drawn towards that charisma that a lot of these preachers have. So she's drawn to that, and she see something in this preacher that you don't have, that you refuse to have. You don't want to talk about the Bible. She's into the Bible. You don't talk about that. She want to talk about going to church as a family. You're not talking about doing that. So then you feeding your girl to the wolves. So she goes to church by herself because you're not interested, because you out doing your thing. Then before you realize it, she's talking to the pastor whom she has already known for years, that maybe they had something in the past, or they was attracted towards each other, but for whatever reason, nothing happened. But there's an attraction there, apparently. So she's out talking to this pastor, this old friend of hers, and then she said, "Well, come on over." Now the husband is so dumb and naive, he's gonna be thinking, "Oh, that's nothing but the pastor, so he's safe. So I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna do my thing while she, the pastor come over and talk about setting up a little kids center, a little business and everything, right?" So he's gonna go and do whatever he's doing, right? I don't even know if she told him that the pastor was coming over, but the pastor ended up over the house, right? And so they sitting there discussing business, right? And before you realize it, they end up in the bed together in one of the children's bedroom. And then here come the husband. And this dude runs out naked while the husband says, "I'm going to get a gun," right? Why would you sit there and tell somebody you're going to get a gun if you really wanted to shoot somebody? Me personally, I just say, okay, cool, no problem. I'd have walked right away. I wouldn't have said nothing. And I would have did what I had to do, right? But you say, "I'm going to get a gun." What's going on in here? So you scared the poor man, the poor preacher. He running out naked, swinging all over the place if he's swinging, right? So he running out swinging, right? You talking about, "I'm going to get a gun," and he running out naked, right? And now it's a police report, and now this so-called police report is circulating around the internet, right? So that actually makes the husband look bad, because it shows that, number one, you're not supporting your family like you should, because she shouldn't have been sitting down talking to another man, because pastors are men. See, you forget, y'all get caught up in these titles so easy. So because this man's a pastor, that excuses him from anything else. He's not supposed to be human anymore because he's a pastor, right? That is still a man that's got a past. and maybe he became a pastor after he was into some mess. Because I know from being active in the ministry, I know dudes, man, that were drug dealers, that was gangbangers, okay, players, like Tupac tells you about that, talking about, she don't know that she's got a player for life, right? So these dudes come out the street. So they know the game. And now they become pastors and whatnot, and you guys just forget that they had a past. And you say, okay, I'm going to just trust him with my wife. Instead of having you there with them discussing business on how the two of them could form a business together, right? I'm going to show the both of y'all how to get a business started together, right? He shouldn't have been sitting there talking to the wife alone without the husband. This is some Garden of Eden type of nonsense when the serpent caught Eve by herself. That's what this is going. That's what's happening. The serpent caught Eve by herself, and Eve was sitting there talking about starting a business until the serpent ended up, getting caught by Adam in the bed, in their children's bed at that, right? So, I mean, dudes, man, y'all got to step up your game, bro. You can't fault this woman. Yeah, you could fault her to an extent, but you really can't fault the woman, man. If you catch your woman in the bed with another dude, man, forget the fact if he could be a preacher, he could be a lawyer, he could be a judge, he could be just somebody she worked with, okay? Because there's a lot of relationships that's happening on these jobs, okay? Because, you walking around trying to play the man, talking about I'm the man in the house, and you ain't contributing nothing to the house, right? You out doing what you got to do. You abusive towards her, emotionally, psychologically, verbally. And you feel that because that's your wife, you own her and she's got to take that. So she's going to work when you got this dude, man, that's working, that's taking care of himself, that seems pretty, pretty intelligent, educated, right? And he's talking to her, consoling her, and she smiles when she see him because she can't smile at home, right? So she going to work, and she loves going to work now because she's got somebody at work that can make her smile. Just looking at him makes her smile. And you at home talking about my woman, she at work, and you driving her car around. You don't own a car, but you driving her car around. Your name ain't even on the list, on the lease of the house or the apartment, right? And well, your name is not on the lease of the apartment or the deeds if you guys own a house, right? Your name is not even on there. Don't even own the car. You don't pay no insurance, no nothing. Every now and then you may put $2 worth of gas in and think you're doing something. All right? So you got her car. You drop her off at work and she's happy to go to work. She's got her little overnight bag and whatnot. And she may give you a little peck on the cheek. See you in the morning, right? And you like, all right, dear. So you feel you can just go do your thing. Because you got the car. She's at work. So you can go out there and do your little hustle thing. Your little player thing, right? But then you decide to come home early one day, right? Or she decided to go home early, right? She get a ride home, right? And you will lose your mind once you find out your girl out there got somebody else that's making her smile even more. So she go to work, she's smiling because this dude is there, right? So it makes no difference if he's a preacher or whatever he is. The point is, dudes, if you don't take care of home, somebody else is going to do it. You can't get mad at this chick, man, or the dude if you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. All right? So her husband, she should have been talking business to her husband, but he would more than likely, he didn't want to care to hear about that. All right? He was always coming back with something negative to say. Trump in office now, so he's going to make it real hard for black people to own a business. All right? So you out there doing what you got to do, and she's talking to this preacher whom she's known already, and only God above knows, how close they were in the past. And all of a sudden they start looking in their eyes. She started feeling some kind of way because, you have this dude that's got charisma sitting down talking to her, and he's talking to her like a husband should be talking to his wife. And before you realize it, they kissing each other and they're in the bed. And you walk in now, you're emotionally hurt. Because now your girl is screaming and hollering like she's never screamed and hollered with you. Or maybe she screamed and hollered like that before, but then she stopped. Brothers, ask yourself the question, why don't your girl respond to you like she used to respond to you when y'all used to have sex when you first met, right? And then the things she do with you now, she just do it just let me get it over with, right? Let me just get it over with, So why do you think she's like that? Because she's lost interest in you, and now you're just there for convenience, just because she's used to you being around, or she don't want to hear your tears talking about I'll change. All the time you got these dudes talking about they'll change. Baby, I'll change. Just give me one more chance. I'll change. Sounding like Barack Obama, right? And then Barack Obama, everybody voted for him. Now he's going to turn this country gay, right? So he telling you how much he changed and whatnot, but he got a boy on the side. I ain't going to get into that, but he got a boy on the side just taking care of him, and then going to get mad if he kept you and the preacher in the bed together. Right? That's his excuse to get out. And a lot of guys use that as an excuse to get out. They want to get out anyway, but they don't want to be the fault of the reason why the relationship or marriage broke up. So they wait until you do something wrong. They will put you in that situation. Guys put their women in those situations by not taking care of their women. And then when their women go outside on them, then they use that as an excuse to break up with you. So you can't say it was his fault. Right? So it's a heavy game out there. So a lot of you dudes out there play these games, man, and you set your girls up, knowing that you ain't doing nothing for your girl, and then when she go out there and do something in the street, now you want to blame her for it. Well, she ain't no good. That's why I don't like black women, right? When you know you weren't taking care of your home. You weren't working, and you weren't taking care of her sexually in the bedroom, right? And then the smooth talking preacher comes along, right? This wolf in sheep clothing, and just wanting to discuss business with her, right? Do you know how many times women have come to me about starting a business and they got men at home? I run from that quick because that's trouble. That's nothing but trouble, because I knew where it could have ended or where it could have went, because you can look in her eyes a lot of times and tell that she's not really interested in business. Oh, she's interested in business, but not the kind of business that most people would think she's interested in. All right? Because when you start talking business and giving ideas before you realize it, she's calling you or wanting to meet you up somewhere, and next thing you know, one thing leads to another. Right? So a lot of times females be setting guys up for these little relationship flings and whatnot. Especially if the dude is already in business and he's got some type of, charisma. And he's doing something with himself. See, females like that. Women like dudes, man, that's doing something for themselves, man. Not no dudes that's just sitting around trying to play man in the house. Because a real man don't have to say, I'm a man. Actions speak louder than words. So I'm going to put this link on the bottom. You guys feedback, tell me what you think. But this is funny to me. And dudes, you need to step up your game, man. If you don't want the kind of mess that's happening in this alleged blog, then you need to step up your game. Stop blaming everything on the white man and now Donald Trump, right? All kind of excuses so you don't have to work or you don't have to take care of your responsibility at home, all right? Because if you don't take care of responsibility at home, well, you got somebody that's waiting. Somebody standing from afar off looking, waiting for the opportunity. And all she got to do is put on Facebook, what kind of business can I start? Next thing you know, he's like inboxing her. I got some ideas for you, right? We need to talk. Next thing you know, they exchange numbers or start texting each other. Next thing you know, they meeting, and now he's banging it out. So as a matter of fact, and I'm gonna end on this note, I know a situation like that where this woman had left her husband, right? And this dude was hurt, and this dude, he was a drug dealer, and he ended up helping this man's wife to start a business. He was funding her and everything, set up the spot and everything for her. She left her man. She left her husband. And the dude was upset, because, he have, and the fool, because you got some dudes say, well, cool, he out there settle with business, that's going to help me out too. I get a piece of that pie too, because that's my wife. That's my girl, right? So in a way, you kind of trying to pimp her, right? Without saying you trying to pimp her. So dude goes over there one day to her business. She hadn't even opened up yet. They were setting up. And he went there for lunch and looked in the window. and he saw his wife and this dude on the floor getting busy. He said he just walked away. All right, so brothers, you need to step up your game, man. Instead of pointing fingers at this pastor, this so-called pastor, right, or any other dude that's caught banging your girl, don't get mad at them. You need to get mad at yourself for not doing what you need to do at home. You know, take care of home, man. Don't be worried about somebody else's home. You know, you got dudes on the internet worried about so many other dudes, what other dudes are doing. They ain't taking care of their own business. And you wonder why your girl is sleeping with somebody else. So feedback, tell me what you think. Till next time. I'm fearless.